is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is showtime today on another NIOH skill tree guide video. Today will be one that's been a long time coming. The hatchets. Hatchets are a very versatile series of weapons. They're honestly a little bit too fluent for their own good. Let's go over the stats before we get into anything else, though. So, hatchets have a new stat that we haven't actually seen in any weapons, I believe. Magic. We'll get to that in a second. Hatchets mainly scale with skill, magic, and courage. Skill is their primary one. So, what is really good about these particular stats? First of all, skill is used for a lot of very powerful weapons, such as the dual swords. Magic is used for the switchglaive. It's also your Omeo magic, so you can, if you decide to start scaling hatchets with magic using a chassis, you'll be doing a pretty good combo there, having high Omeo power. And then of course courage. Courage is your stamina regeneration and is one of the main stats for spears, I believe. Let's see. Spears. Not spears. I mean, my apologies. Where is it? Yeah, split staffs, not spears. The other long one. It's one of the main stats for split staffs. As you can see, split staffs actually share a lot in common with... They share a lot in common with... well, axes. Hatchets, specifically. So, now that we've gone over what they're good with, or what they are good at, let's go over what they're good with. So, as far as the hatchets go, any synergy between them, the best synergy for a hatchet is either the switchglaive, because it scales really well with magic. You can make this scale with magic and do a lot with it. Or the split staff, mostly because while the hatchets have a very fast yet somewhat slow at the simultaneously attack pattern, the split staff has a very fast attack pattern. While the hatchets have a medium attack pattern, they can be slow on some of its heavy attacks, as we will get into later. So it can be annoying, it can be very annoying, but the split staff is probably one of the better combinations with the two. You could also use the glaive or perhaps dual swords, but I wouldn't suggest that. I'd use the split staff myself. So, let's get into the hatchets combos and what they're good at, and we'll talk about them as we go on, and then we'll get to the skills and then the secret skill. There is only a few, I believe there's only one secret skill, yes, which is Deadly Spiral, one of the better moves, and I'll show you how to get it. It's very convoluted how to farm this, but we'll get into it. So, first off is the heavy stance. For the heavy stance, for the hatchets, their combo is a swing downwards, which will break the horn of the yokai. A swing to the left, from left to right, and then a swing forward. 1, 2, 3. That's the heavy stance. That's the medium combo for the heavy stance. The heavy combo is just one attack. It's a large chop. You will find that the heavy attacks for the hatchets are usually pretty bad. They're pretty bad. They're horrible. Most of them are. But the medium combos are where that's at. That's where that primary damage is. Another thing, the hatchets all come with skills unlocked, which allows you to throw them. For the up stance, for the high stance, you throw one hatchet, and it's the most damaging of them all. I'll show you. It also has the most range. Throw a hatchet. He raises it above his head. How you do this is by holding down the heavy attack button. Which, in all honesty, is probably why the heavy attacks on the axes are so bad, is because they have the ability to throw. Alright, moving on to the medium stance. Once again, you, like normal, you have your heavy stance and medium stance and low stance dodges. Nothing unusual. Medium stance, for the medium combo and the medium stance, it's 2 swipes. 1, 2. 2 swipes from right to left. Up hit and then a down hit. 1, 2, 3. I will like to point out that those 2 swipes are very good for positioning human opponents, like this ninja here. He's very quick, but if we do this, it's very good for getting positions on him and moving him around. It works pretty well. That's the that is the grapple for the axes right there. Pretty gruesome. It's good for moving opponents around. The slam can break the horns of yokai. I'll show you out here. This is a very hard moveset to kind of explain, but I'll show you out here. So you can move opponents backwards. It's also good for gaining distance because he does jump when he does this. And then whoop, whoop. You got to be careful with it though, because you do gain a lot of distance. I'll actually show you in comparison to the pillars. Whoop. This is something the axe is actually very good at. So you make a lot of distance with this combo. Unlike the heavy combo, which you make some distance, but not great, and it's very hard to control. As far as the medium combo's heavy attack, it's just one swing. Just one swing from left to right. Will not hit the horns of yokai, usually. And then the throw for the medium is just... And that. There we go. It's normally going to throw one axe for you guys who are just starting out. It's okay. It does low damage. Very low damage. About 500 or so on New Game Plus axe. Pair of hatchets. So, it's alright. It's alright damage. The low stance, on the other hand, as I'll just demonstrate for you here, is much better. We'll get into that in a sec. So, the low stance, pretty simple. First one is 2 strikes, almost in a cross pattern. A sideways cross pattern, an X. 2, 3, 4. The next one up is a swing down, and then a swing around. 1, 2, 3. There you go, brings it up and then over. It looks very weird. Then he spins and brings it to the side, doing an attack from top shoulder, left shoulder to right hip, and then he does the opposite, right hip to left shoulder. Then he brings them in for a cross formation, an X, and then brings them out for another X. The heavy attack combo for this is a spin, and it will do about 3 attacks, I believe. The axes are also good at applying status effects, but the tonfas are a bit better at doing that. I'll show you. Whoop. 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 Yeah, it hits about 3 times. I believe it might be able to hit more. Nah, it hits about 3 times. Okay. And the throwing attack is just you throw 2 hatchets real quick. That's the standard throwing attack. You just throw 2 hatchets, they do low damage, but it's very fast. Alright. Ooh. There we go, and kill him. Beautiful. Alright. That is the standard attack combo for the hatchets here. Let's go into their special abilities, shall we? Down the list, like always. So, first let's go with their mastery skills. Their mastery skills aren't actually very good because they're very hard to apply to any situation. Skills that allow you to perform charge throw hatchets deal more damage when charging and throwing at the correct timing. It doesn't tell you what the timing is, but it's as the hatchets pass their charging stages is when the timing is proper. Pretty simple stuff. Pretty simple stuff. Next up is the damage dealt by hatchets you will throw no longer suffer distance penalties. So what's wrong with these two? Trained throw and tireless throw. Honestly, they're really situational. They both rely on your throwing attacks, which, don't get me wrong, you have a shit ton of throwing attacks. The hatchet is about 30% of the hatchet's moveset is comprised of throwing attacks. But they're not very good. This one requires proper timing, which in a fight would be difficult. And this one is pretty much useless. There are very few scenarios, unless you're primarily only using the high stance throw, where distance fall off is going to matter. It is about 20 to 30% of your damage you're losing, but it doesn't matter. That much damage does not matter when you are ranging, you're zoning the enemy, and you can get more damage in melee anyways. I would use trained throw, but you can easily just skip completely. You can just completely and utterly skip trained throw and tireless throw. The mastery skills are not very good. And trained throw is where you get the melee mastery, but I would never use this in the first place. Alright, next up is Wolf's Rage. This is a very odd one. So, this is a skill which you press after an attack is deflected, after one of your attacks is deflected by an enemy. And it's pretty simple. Let's make sure I have it equipped. Yes, okay. It's pretty simple. Oh. Let's just get him to block here. He usually blocks when he's low on Kai. And then he blocks. Nope. Come on. There we go. It's a grapple attack specifically. It will do more damage with your grapples. You'll throw them to the ground, do more damage with your grapples. You can technically do Demon's Undercut, which we'll get to later on them immediately, which is a good combo. But we're not talking about combos right now. So that's Wolf's Rage. It's really good. It'll throw them to the ground if you do good Kai damage to them. Next up is Hurl. Precise Hurl. Perform a charge throwing hatchet. If you charge it to maximum, it will tear through enemies on impact. So what this is there are different forms of the high stance's charge. That's one. There are two, in fact. Hurl, and then Light, and then Shadow. Light hits an enemy harder, and it will decrease the charge time, basically. Decrease the charge time, and then increases the distance your hatchet is thrown when you charge it. And then Hurl itself will decrease the time it takes. So for me, out of these two, I would personally use Light. I would use Light. Shadow is okay. Shadow's alright, because it does have a good bit of distance to it. Which, that is very, very far, all the way on the other side of that lake. That's a good distance, but you're never going to be hitting enemies from that far with your throwing attacks. Plus, it's really slow, while this is pretty quick. I'd use Shadow. I would use Shadow. If you were... Sorry. I would use Shadow. Whoopsies. There we go. I would use Shadow if you wanted to kind of make a build out of Tireless Throw. But if not, just use Light. Light's way better. The time it takes is much nicer. You can get more damage in. Next up is Demon's Undercut. This is probably... Well, Demon Undercut. This is probably one of the better skills in the game, honestly. It's pretty good. It's a mid and high stance only attack that's tied to your guard triangle button press. But its ability is very good. First of all, it does a surprising amount of damage for how fast this comes out. Whoop. There we go. It's not too quick, but it's pretty fast. And as you can see there, if you hit them with this and deplete them of Kai, sorry about that, I've been kind of stuffed up all day. If you deplete them of Kai, when you hit them with this, it'll lock them in place and allow you to grapple them. It'll put them in a special animation, which is very powerful. This, honestly, is probably one of the better skills, and I usually always keep it equipped. Next up is the Hurl, Light, and Shadow for the dual stance. Same thing. I would personally use Light once again. But hear me out. Dual Hurl allows you to throw both axes. And see here. Throw both. I would personally use light once again, but shadow can be useful on dual stance because it has a very limited range and you're rarely going to use it for quick damage like the high stance, because you can just swap to high stance, do this real quick in the middle of a fight, and you'll usually hit them. But the thing is, this range actually, it isn't too good, so I would use shadow if you kind of wanted to be a bit more consistent with this, because what you could do, you know, with shadow is you could say, okay, you see an enemy, right? You can use shadow real quick as you're approaching them to have good damage in your approach. So you can bang, deplete their Kai faster, kill them faster. It's a pretty good idea. And shadow helps out with that, but light is what's more appropriate in combat. Next up is Spike Wall. This is actually one of the very few deflection attacks the axe has. Spike Wall is a deflection attack. It's a guard deflection attack. It's not a special animation or anything. And as you can see here, I am pressing that button, but nothing is happening. That is because you need to use it. It's not an animation. It's literally just a guard attack. It's very powerful because of that. Because it's consistent. What can I say? You are guarding while you do it. There's no animation you start. You don't need timing. You just need to... I can literally just mash this button and it will do it. It's one of the more powerful parries in the game. Oopsies. Give me a second, sir. There we go. It's one of the most powerful parries in the game because you don't need timing. You don't need a parry. You just need to hit them. You just need to rapidly press that button. It's very good defensively. You will find that the hatchets have very good button presses for their guard. Alright, after Spike Wall is, well, Eagle's Shadow. This is a very odd one. You throw the hatchet up in the air. After a time, it will come back down. You can also do things as it's in the air. Oh, I can swing a little bit, and then it will come back down. Very good for setting up combos. For setting up hit stuns on enemies, so what? And then it will track to an enemy pretty hard. See there, I got my combo off because he wasn't able to block my attacks. However, I will warn you, as you saw there, it only works in certain places. If I do this while I'm inside, it doesn't work. It doesn't work while you're inside. Duh. Where's it gonna come down at? Even if you're near, like, something inside. If I'm locked onto this guy, and he's under a roof, it'll stick to the top of the roof. See? Because he tried to come down on him. That's why, in particular, this one isn't the greatest. You have to be outside. While most fights will happen outside, there are some very difficult fights in the game with humanoids that are not outside. So I wouldn't suggest it. The funny part is, like, in the actual video, he uses it while in here. I don't know if there's some kind of trick you can do where you can make it work inside. I've never found out one. But it doesn't work. Which is funny. Do you think it would? I'll try it out one more time while we're both inside and I'm locked onto him, but I'm pretty sure it will not work. The game is deceiving you with its techniques. Yeah, it doesn't work. It just sticks into the ceiling. So powerful. One of the best deflection attacks in the game. It doesn't require you to deflect. It just requires you to mash triangle. Alright, so we have Lethal Barrage 1 and 2. These are combo enders for... This is a combo ender for the high stance. Heavy mid combo ender. Powerful. You can actually keep it going if you hold it down and then do the final blow. This is very good against yokai in particular. First of all, it does good damage because it's in the high stance. And you can do something like this. Hit him, and then deflect a burst attack, and bang, he will be nearly dead already. Very, very strong ability. It's a really good combo ender, and I suggest it's also the only combo ender for the heavy stance. Keep in mind, you couldn't start going out of that animation for your rapid attacks and then do your second barrage swing. So there you go. Next up is Spinning Crab. It's a combo ender for the low stance, and it actually knocks enemies down in certain cases and allows you to get a finishing blow on them. Final blow, so. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then combo ender. Whoopsies! Accidentally did Wolf's Rage. Combo ender. There we go. And then you can get a final blow on him if he runs out of Kai during it. It's easier to do on ninjas. On ninjas don't have a lot of Kai in the game. They actually have like an inexcusably low amount usually. So you can trip them and then bang. They will get most of their Kai back because they start regenerating immediately. They will do that animation. You can kind of combo them if you break their Kai and they're in the winded animation. You can combo them with that into the final blow animation. Alright, next up is a combo ender for the medium stance, Death from Above. So this one is okay. It's actually somewhat more versatile than you think it is. Pretty simple. You jump in the air and throw your axe. But that actually gives you distance. That gives you a good bit of distance just for doing that. And not only that, it's a throw. So what you can do is you can throw, move in, toss, throw, and then throw again. Especially if you have light. Right? Pretty simple. On most enemies that will break his Kai. It almost broke this guy's Kai, and he's a very heavy class enemy. And then you can throw again. Very quick, very powerful. As you can see there, you can combo your throws together while they're knocked prone. So Death from Above's alright, but there's another combo ender we'll get to later that's a bit better than it. Next up is Chain Hurl and Chain Hurl 2. This increases the charge time, this decreases the charge time, and then this allows you to continue throwing while you're in low stance. You do need to do something where you need to hold then tap it. It does drain your Kai very quickly, so it's not very powerful. I wouldn't suggest using it. But if you like just throwing hatchets and applying status effects, it's pretty good. Plus you do need this to get Mountain Climber and Mountain Climber 2, which are somewhat good. They're good for combos. Alright, going back in. Tail Strike. Well, Tail Striker. This is a perfect guard ability. Oh, come on, let's do this then. Alright, my controller keeps forcing me to move forward sometimes. I need to replace it. It's a perfect guard ability. Very difficult to land like most perfect guards while in the heat of combat, but I'm sure we will soon. There we go. It allows you to get behind the opponent, does 2 strikes of damage to them. Whoop. Does 2 strikes of damage to them. Pretty good stuff. Whoa. I thought he would die. Alright, whatever. We'll just kill him with this gun. Alright. So, this allows you to do 2 strikes of damage to him real quick. It's pretty good. It's the only masterful guard ability from this. There's not an upgraded version. Next up is a really strange one. It's low stance only, and it's called Baiting Hail. You can throw an axe while you're in your dodging animation, and I believe that I have this, correct? Yeah, Baiting Hail. It's very difficult to do. I believe you also need to be locked onto an enemy. It's very difficult to do, and it's not very powerful either. It's good for throwing a little bit of damage in there. But, there we go. It needs to be near the end of your dodge. Which, when are you fucking timing that? When are you timing that in combat? If you're timing something like this, you're over-analyzing the damage you're supposed to do with hatchets. Hatchets are a very fluid, like, just weapon in general. All of their skills are very fluid and they allow you to do a lot. But this, you can also do it off of your second dodge in low stance. It has to be near the end of the dodge itself. This is too much, especially because how much Kai that takes up. While you're dodging, keep in mind, your defensive ability. Normally after you dodge, you're dodging so you can get out of the way of an attack or recover. Say he hits me for a lot of damage, and he's about to come in for another attack. I'm dodging so I can get out of the way, use an elixir. I'm not dodging and then throwing a little attack in there as I'm moving, especially one that moves me towards him. And that is very hard to hit if I'm not locked on because it's throwing. Now you can use this to get behind opponents pretty well, because it will reset you at their hitbox. But just don't use it. It's pretty bad. It's actually pretty bad. I wouldn't use it. Alright. Next one up is Heaven's Crush. Heaven's Crush is a square guard button press for the hatchets. It causes the hatchets to come back to you. It shoots them sideways and hits enemies behind. It actually does its full damage. This is pretty good for Shadow Strike especially, because it will do a lot of damage if you have Shadow Strike maxed out. It'll hit them from behind for usually about 1,000 damage if you're in New Game Plus. It's alright. I would say with Shadow Strike, which is down here, you do need to get 2 skill points in for Shadow Strike. You do need to pick up Spinning Crab, but Shadow Strike, that could be pretty good with it. You could probably do good damage with that, but there's other options. Next up is Dragonfly and Dragonfly 2. It's high stance and mid only. It's this. You can also charge it to keep it in the air for longer. Normally it's in the air like that, and it stays there for about that long. You can charge it with a second upgrade to hold it in the air for a bit longer. It has a really weird ability where it has a gravitational pull to it. See? This is actually very good for setting up your throw combos. It does take a lot of Kai out of you, and they can dodge out of it, but this is very good for, say, doing something like this. If he would stand up and stop being such a baby. Your throw combos, suck them into it, and then use a yokai ability that's really powerful to shoot them. Or, say, Otakimaru's Soul Core in particular is very, very, very good with this. Very good with this, because you can throw it, he's trapped there, and then use Otakimaru's Soul Core, and then maybe use another Soul Core if you still have some left. And bang, he's either out of Kai or near death, and he has some status effects on him. If Otakimaru's Soul Core hit properly. Enemies usually will try and guard when they're being hit by it, but it usually doesn't work out in their favor. Dragonfly is very good. I'd pick it up for the high stance in case you need it. All Ablaze is the attack I was training to get for a while, because it actually requires you to have both levels of Cornered Tiger, which sucks. All Ablaze is very strong. Let's see, which one is it on? Is it on? Nope, it's not on here. On here? Nope. It is in high stance. All Ablaze is an attack and speed buff while still decreasing your melee damage. That's not too bad. Sorry, your defense. That's not too bad, actually. That's a well worth trade, if you ask me. A little bit less defense if you're in low stance or you're careful with your mid and high stance attacks. This can be pretty good, as you can see. I am tearing through him a little bit faster. I would get All Ablaze. That's actually very powerful because you can make this an upside. There can be no exchange there. If you just don't get hit, you can make All Ablaze really powerful because you don't get hit. You do not get hit. What the hell's the point? You don't get hit. So it's just an upside, so long as you're careful. Next up is Mountain Climber and Mountain Climber 2. Get it? Because they're axes like ice axe. So, easier standard jump attack. You can do an attack as on your way down. They're good for combos. They're not as good as like Heaven Flash for the sword. And as you will see here, enemies will sometimes get around them. Like with this ninja, he's pretty mobile. I can kind of strike towards him. But he got away from it. All in all, it's good for combos. It's good for certain combos you can do. But certain more mobile enemies will kind of trip you up. Especially if they're on the ground. Oh, I'm inside. See, even I forget about that shit. Oh, you're dead. I'll shoot him with this gun instead. See how mobile ninjas are? Hey, no! Okay. Well, I forgot I'm immortal. Sorry, my instincts immediately kick in when I see him do that animation because of how powerful that attack is. That's Mountain Climber. It's not very good. I wouldn't pick it up. Unless you want to do combos with it. Next up is Mountain Hawk. This is a very powerful combo ender for the mid stance. Do I have it equipped? I don't think I do. No. I still have Death from Above equipped. This is probably the combo ender I would personally use. Because of how fast it is. You just throw the axe. You just throw the axe forwards. It has a good bit of range to it as well, as you can see. One throw, even if you're standing directly in front of an enemy. Hell, you can even start a combo, and as the enemy retreats, bro, you should stop blocking. As the enemy retreats, if he will, or he just wants to die by the wolf, alright. Basically, as an enemy retreats, say you have a ninja, and they jump backwards, you can do this, throw it immediately, and it will usually hit them for good damage. So, something like that, how he just got away from me, or something like that, where he jumps backwards and then jumps forwards, you can usually catch them with this pretty well. You can catch them with this pretty well. There we go. You can usually catch them with this pretty well, so this is the combo ender I would personally use in mid stance. Next up is Advancing Storm. This is a really weird one. It's an Omni stance. It's while you're running, if you press square, you throw the hatchets. They don't actually go too far, and you're forced to kind of look up as you do it because you're running. But hey, I mean, it is good for softening up an enemy in your approach. So you can do this, or if you want to use Advancing Storm, you could use Advancing Storm. It'll soften them up a little bit for you to come in and use Wolf's Rage if they're blocking after that. Wolf's Rage and this is a pretty good combo. It's such a brutal grapple. You just smack the axe into him, then break the handle off on him. So, Advancing Storm is alright for softening up enemies, but you have so many other throwing attacks, I wouldn't get it unless you want Wild Surge. Wild Surge is an advanced form of... Is this it? Yes, it's an advanced form of Boulder Breaker. And, okay, we have it equipped down here. For Boulder Breaker, you throw the axes and you dodge backwards. Wild Surge allows you to dash forwards with it. It's especially good in low stance because of how fast your attacks are. You can immediately start comboing and do something like Spinning Crab. So it can be alright for softening an enemy up like Advancing Storm and then going in faster. Next up is Wild Surge 2. This is a grapple attack. This is a very hard to use grapple attack. It can be pretty good if your enemy's out of Kai. Like say I come over here, you know, I'm wailing on him a little bit, trying to get his Kai down. And then, you know, I use Boulder Breaker. God damn, my controller did the thing again. And then I use this. Whoopsies. I don't actually have it equipped. No, I do. It's just very hard to use. Sometimes the button presses will not even work at all. There we go. Nope, it's not working. Am I reading this wrong? I have tested this profusely. Keep in mind we're nearing the end. After Wild Surge, yes, I'm pressing square and triangle together. You must have to actually press them together, not one after another. No, you did the walk forward thing. 2. Yeah, you need to press them simultaneously. You don't need to press them like one and the other. You need to press them simultaneously against each other. Yeah, you need to press them basically together. Okay. It's very stiff. It's very stiff. But it is a grapple attack that will hit enemies if they are grappled. If they run out of Kai from the attack itself, they'll grapple them, throw them to the ground, and maybe does that put them in a final blow stance? It doesn't look like it does. Let's try. Nope, there's a very specific timing you need to do there. Let's try it with him. Ooh, 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 ooh. There we go, that's what it looks like when they're not out of Kai. When they are out of Kai. 1, 2, and then whoop, he's dead. Alright, you get the picture. I believe that also sets them up for a final blow, but it might not, because in the actual video he gets up immediately, although these videos aren't exactly reliable. So, next up is Bell Ringer, and probably some of the better skills. So, Bell Ringer, I would personally pick this one up simply because of what's after it. Bell Ringer is a combo ender that, it forces enemies to retreat, just as it says. That's still on that. We can go down here to mid stance. Bell Ringer, it's in mid stance only, keep in mind. Pushes the axis forward. It's pretty powerful. Specifically because it actually has high Kai damage. Similar to Wolf's Rage. And it can easily become Wolf's Rage if you get deflected. Personally I would use Mountain Hawk if I was using a combo ender. At all. Because Mountain Hawk is very powerful, but Bell Ringer is also very, very strong. Bell Ringer is very strong. Next up is one of the better skills. It's Dual Hawks. I would pretty much always keep this equipped. It's an Omni Stance skill. I usually put this in mid stance. Dual Hawks is very strong. You spin the axes around you, doing a lot of quick damage. And if your timing is correct, you can bank, throw one of the axes, and that does massive damage. Just that alone does about the same damage as you throwing the axe. Yeah, 1000 damage. And if you're against somebody and do this, and then throw it, it's basically game over. I would constantly keep this equipped. I would always keep this skill equipped. On every stance, because the other stuff isn't very good. It's so powerful. It's so consistent. Even against yokai, it's very good. It's a combo ender as well, keep in mind. I can say, you know, whoop, I can go into here, do a little bit of combo, and then immediately dodge behind him, end my combo with Dual Hawks behind him, do good damage, throw the hatchet at him, it does good damage. It can even, sometimes, if you're at the right level, hit the horns of yokai and break them. Dual Hawks is amazing. I would use it. It's a good combo ender. Good damage if you get behind them as well, and you use Shadow Strike. Shadow Strike is very good for the dual hatchets. Alright, after that we have, well, Greased Lightning. Greased Lightning is a draw attack for the axes. It's two slam attacks. Simple as that. The first and the second one both do very big damage. Whoop. Moves you forwards a lot. Second one will break the horns of yokai usually. That's how powerful the attack itself is. But watch this. Now that he's saturated, we can do Dual Hawks. Hit him. Dual Hawks again. Hit him. And then finish him off by... Whoop. Finish him off by getting around him. Good. Finish him off by getting around him. And then do Dual Hawks again. Keep in mind, you do not need stamina to do that finishing thing with Dual Hawks, that finishing throw. That is Greased Lightning, and the more Dual Hawk stuff, because I love it so much. That's Greased Lightning. It hits pretty hard, will break the horns of yokai. Boulder Crusher, we've already done. Arise is just a get-up maneuver. It does good damage, but I don't have it here. And then finally, Deadly Spin. The reason I don't have Arise is because they're all the same. This do keep in mind, this one does actually, you get up forwards and swing forwards instead of like most of them where you spin. Deadly Spiral is really good. Deadly Spiral specifically, it is a throwing attack, but it starts as a melee, and it's really strong. It is really, 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 really strong. Secret skill for a reason. So let me show it to you. You do start your spin, and then you throw the axes in a ring around you, and as they're falling, you can do stuff, including Deadly Spiral again. They will hit stuff around you, like if I go inside and face the wall, this is a good tip for fighting the boss in the first place. If I go inside and face the wall, they will hit the wall, or anything around them within their reach. If it will stop them early, but if they don't hit anything, they'll just go straight to the ground and do good damage. This is very powerful against humans and yokai both. Whoop. 2, 3, 4. Good damage, especially if you get behind them. Demon Undercut. Demon Undercut. Demon Undercut. Hit them with it, and there, you've got a combo. Deadly Spiral into Demon Undercut. That will usually drain them of either their health or HP very quickly. Their HP or AP. AP? Their HP or stamina very quickly. And that is the axes. That's the axes right there. I'll go over my personal axe tree setup, and then I will show you where to get the secret skills, and we will be done. We've been going on for, most of these are about 45 minutes long. So, axes. Axes are versatile, but too fluid for their own good. Some things are useless because of how fluid the axes are. The hatchets. So let's go out of this. Get all these. Go into this, and I'll show you what I'll do. First things up, I want to pick up Dual Hawks as quickly as possible. Then Shadow Strike. You can pick up these. I wouldn't suggest it too much, but I would go for Light over here. Dragonfly, as well as Dragonfly number 2. If you want to not use Dual Hawks in high stance. Lethal Barrage is a combo ender. Very powerful. You can kind of ignore this side, but if you don't want to, you can pick up All Ablaze. All Ablaze is really powerful, and I suggest you use it thanks to its downside being you can completely mitigate it. You do need to get all that crap, though. You do need to get Cornered Tiger, which is not very powerful for the axes. You can pick up some of this stuff, but I would personally go over here and pick up the Guard Mastery. And then Light again for these. You can also pick up Shadow if you want to as well. It can be pretty good. And then, the reason we picked up Light is so we can get this, which is the combo ender that we might be using in the future. And then you can pick up Spiked Wall, but I'm not going to be using it. You can also pick up Heaven's Crush. We're going to be using Dual Hawks. And then Demon Undercut. And then the rest of your points here can go into something like this. Wolf's Rage, which is very powerful. I wouldn't use that. That's alright, but I personally wouldn't use that. Chain Hurl is okay. We don't really need it, though. If you want to pick it up, you can, though. I would personally then go to Passage to the Afterlife. Passage to the Afterlife. And then Indomitable's alright, but this right here can be pretty good. The Full Moon Kata. But obviously, just like everything, we want Restless, which means we will have to take Shadow here. We want Restless. And with our last 3, we could get, you know, some of these or something. We can get Chain Hurl if we really want it. We can get this over here if we really want it, but I would personally suggest either picking up Heaven's Crush with your last 3 if you have any more by this point, or picking up some of the more versatile throws, like Chain Hurl, which can be good in certain scenarios for dealing quick high damage. And then with your last one, I just put it into something like Cornered Tiger to make that worth it, make that investment worth it. And that's the personal like axe skill tree I would use. As far as my axe setup goes, it would be this that you see on screen right now, with the exception of Dual Hawks and Dragonfly being up here with Demon Undercut. I would use this setup, and I put all the blaze on all of them. And then you can put like Sacred Bird Cry here or something if you have those. But I personally stick to the mid stance, and now I will show you where to get the most optimal farming strategy for the secret skills. Okay, let's start off with a disclaimer. These are very hard to get because of the steps you need to take. First, you need to complete Yokai's Wise Judgment while siding with the humans. The guy on the top of the hill in the small shack you need to talk to and complete the quest. Then, I believe it is here. I believe you then need to complete this mission, Pervading Waters, and help the guy out that is fighting near the broken bridge on the other side of the temple. Help him out and talk to him, so take him to through the rest of the mission with you. After that, you have to basically complete the game. You need to continue with the story for a little bit longer until you find the person you're looking for in the intermission, which is the guy that you will be fighting in the intermission. And I believe an Afterglow, not an Afterglow, it must be in some other one. Dream. Yes, in Dream, you'll get this mission, Restless Spirits. You're going to be looking for this guy during all of those missions. You want to go into Restless Spirits. And then during Restless Spirits, the boss at the very end of this mission will give you the skill you're looking for, which is Deadly Spiral. He has a lot of health. In fact, there are many game reviews which complain about just how much health this boss has. But just stick with it. Train it a lot. I did a full stream at one point of me just going through this. Had to delete it though, which is unfortunate, but just train, go through this. Don't stop. Forgot to equip Deadly Spiral. We'll do that in a second. Whoop. 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 There we go. And then 1, 2, 3. Obviously, Bellringer is another good example that could be used here, but Non-Hawks is too versatile for me to ignore. Then you could do some of this, if you have it. I'll be going over how to get that skill later. Much later, after all the weapons are done. Whoop, 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 whoop. I forgot. Deadly Spiral. There we go. Stink Monk. God, I hate these things. As you say, Deadly Spiral is devastating. Could you guys let me know something? Do you think the intro music is a bit too loud? I want to know that in the comment section down below if you're still watching this. But yeah, Deadly Spiral is pretty devastating, and in situations like this, you can use the light throw, the light hurl of the upstance hatchet throw to do good damage from a distance if you don't want to engage with your enemy. You got to be fluid with the hatchets because they will be fluid with you. Go through here, Deadly Spiral on this guy after doing a Demon Undercut to reduce his Kai. Deadly Spirit. Get behind him, Deadly Spiral. Very powerful when you're behind him, thanks to Shadow Strike. One of the reasons we picked that up. We'll fight her, Spiral. If you can get behind her, Deadly Spiral just fixes any issue. You can just spam the thing. You can go behind someone, do Demon Undercut, which does 3,000 or so damage. With Shadow Strike, once again, I would suggest picking up Shadow Strike because Demon Undercut when you're behind someone is very powerful. You can Dual Hawks this guy into just a standard combo. Demon Undercut and then Dual Hawks to... Oh, nope, apparently not. He just wants to die from a normal attack. There we go. As you can see, Dual Hawks is very, very powerful. Whoop. Whoop. There we go. And then swing twice. We're good. I hate these things because of their little aura that hits you and knocks you backwards. I suppose if they didn't have that, the enemy would be the weakest one in the game, though. So, by far, there would be no competition. You can go over here, dual hawks, apply that status effect, just kill him outright because your damage is high. You can go up here. So I'm waiting for you right here. You can pick up these items, but I'll not be picking up all of them. Just this one. You can go up through here. There's going to be two enemies, one on the right and one on the left in this room, and then you fight the boss. Oh. Sorry, well, he opened with a burst attack. Once again, Demon's Undercut's very strong. Bang. And then we can just do a standard combo. Or just hit him once. Then the boss will spawn. You can use all your buffs here. He does do a little bit of a roar. This is the guy. I would suggest getting additional fire damage, by the way, because he is mainly fire-based. By mainly, I mean he basically does a hell of a lot of fire damage, and that's it. With this, you can just walk in front of him with Phantom and just burst it off of him. He will do Deadly Spiral. If he's near the wall, it will get caught in the wall, though, so don't worry. He does burn through his stuff pretty quick, his Emerita very quickly, and then you can kill him. He will drop what you're looking for. His rage animation is very long, so I would suggest doing a heavy attack and then combo ending it with Lethal Barrage when he's doing his rage animation, and that is it. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Up next should be the Switchglaive. That'll probably take a week or so to get done, but it will get done once I get all the skills and everything for it, because there are three secret skills for the Switchglaive, which we will be doing. So, thank you everybody so much for watching. It has been an amazing time. Please like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, as I will be continuing to do this series. And tell me what your favorite weapon is down below in NIOH. I'll see you all later. By the way, I will be doing an Elden Ring weapon tier list soon. Goodbye.